BBC Radio Kent Breakfast with Anna and Steve. 8 minutes past 8. Has Britain become more openly racist since Brexit? Is it getting worse, or are we just too quick to label things as hate crimes these days? Latest figures show that recorded hate crime in Kent has risen 74% in a year. We heard earlier from one Ramsgate resident who's planning to move out of the area, saying the treatment of her daughter in the town made it feel like an absolute hell. We're now joined by former UKIP leader Henry Bolton, now of the party Our Nation, and Thanet councillor Karen Constantine. Karen, first of all, have you seen change in Thanet in the past few years of this kind of behaviour?
I think I have, actually. But I think, first of all, what I'd like to say is that most people in Thanet are absolute gems. It's a fantastic place. We're talking here about a sad minority, but this is an issue that we really need to take seriously. And I think when Farage threw his hat in the ring, and certainly post the EU referendum, I felt that there was a sort of spike and that people were coming to me with issues and concerns, and that worried me. And these figures actually bear that out. There has been a doubling of racially and religiously aggravated crimes since 2012 and 13.
How do you think the mechanism worked then? How do you think that effectively Farage and UKIP has led to more hate?
I think they created a more permissive society. I think in a way when people felt that they had those views and values, that they knew that they shouldn't act upon them. And I think since Farage, I think we've had, as I say, a very small minority of people who think that they can say what they want to say without considering the impact on others. And we have seen some appalling incidents in Thanet, and I know there has been the same thing happening in other parts of the country. And we've got to think about how that impacts on the individual. Recent reports have shown that, some very young people were subject to some really appalling behaviour. And frankly, in today's society, that's just not on. We need kindness, and we need to come together to tackle the issues that we all face in common.
Let's put that point to Henry then. It sounds like the accusation there is that somehow UKIP has led to a licence to say the unsayable.
I think that's absolute rubbish. And if one takes, for example, the case of the very unfortunate, tragic case of Arik Jozvik, who was killed in a drunken brawl back in August 2016. That was put down by social media and by a number of people as being the result of the outcome of the referendum a couple of months earlier. But actually, the courts have found absolutely no evidence whatsoever to justify that. Now, Karen is absolutely right when she says that there's been an increase in race-related incidents. Not just in Kent, but across the country. Indeed, it's about 9% in the last about 9% since 2016-17. So there is a problem, yes, but it is, in my view, not at all related to Brexit whatsoever. We've had a significant reduction in policing across Kent and across the country, about some 20%. We've had police stations closed. We've got a far more, Karen said, a permissive society where this is accepted. Well, frankly, I would disagree entirely. The permissive society has actually come about because we have relaxed social norms in terms of behaviour. People are allowed to, particularly, I would say, on the left, are allowed to embark in identity politics without any sort of comeback at all. There's no peer pressure. There's no social pressure on them. There's no real statement that this is unacceptable. Now,
how does identity politics lead to an increase in racist hate crime?
No, but it's about people's identity, isn't it? And it's everybody who lives in this country is part of a single community. If we want to divide that down, and we want to sort of say we've got this community over there, that one over there, based on ethnicity, religion, language, background, culture, whatever it might be, then we are actually creating divisions in society rather than actually building bridges. We are all the same. We're all.
Let's run that past. Yeah, Karen, the left's to blame.
Well, I think that's. I'm just going to laugh. That's ridiculous. I mean, if you want some insight
no more,
on that,
sorry, Karen. It's no more ridiculous than saying that the right is to blame. And there are rights.
Okay, let Karen come back to you.
Let me respond. Thank you. In 2016, the Labour Party in Thanet took a motion to the district council. We were calling for, to look again at the equality, the public sector equality duty, and we wanted to, rehearse the need for the council to take a lead in this. And at the time, our council was controlled by UKIP, and UKIP blocked us even having a discussion about that. So I think it's a bit rich to be blaming the left about this when your own party at the time, I realise you've switched now, but your own party wouldn't even discuss it. And I think we were one of the very few councils in the whole country that didn't pass that motion at a time where councils and council leaders really needed to show leadership to local communities. And certainly the people that come to me with issues, with neighbours, with being harassed, with having cameras trained on them, with being called the N-word, with being just harassed and undermined in public, politics doesn't play a part in that.
Okay, Henry, do you want to let Henry come back to this quickly?
Politics, as you say, politics very often does not play a part in that. And you are right, Karen, I believe, in talking about local authorities. And indeed, I'm on record of having when I was leader of UKIP, having some serious issues with the way that Thanet Council was run. So I'm on record of that on a number of levels. So I have some sympathy with what you're saying. And I think local authorities across the board, they have been cut to the bone. They've got far less ability and resources to engage in trying to address some of these things. We've got to cut back on policing. There is perhaps a very, very, very small percentage of the increase in racist incidences as a result of Brexit.
Okay, so there might be a bit of a... You say there might be
nothing to do with UKIP.
Okay. Henry, we're out of time. Thank you very much, Henry Bolton from Our Nation Labour's Karen Constantine. Thank you for joining us.